very happy to have all of you climate writers back here again for a second year. I don't know how many of you were here last year. Show of hands. Sweet. So good, good return and growing every year. I'm up here to introduce our two speakers tonight. We're going to have Dr. Ben Strauss of Climate Central and then Jason Kowalski of One Sky. And they will be followed by Garrett Brennan on the Salt Licks, an awesome bluegrass band from Portland. So stay tuned for some tunes as well as some great stuff about climate. First off, we have Dr. Ben Strauss, who is the Associate Director of Strategic Initiatives at Climate Central, a Princeton-based organization dedicated to sound science and vibrant media surrounding climate change. He's the founding, or one of the founding board members of grist.org, the environmental magazine and blog. He was a founding director of the Environmental Leadership Program, and he has a PhD in ecology and evolutionary biology from our own Princeton University. Dr. Strauss will be speaking about the challenge of communicating about the incredibly complex and broad topic of climate change. And following Dr. Strauss, we'll have Jason Kowalski, who's a policy analyst at One Sky. He works to leverage the collective power of a diverse network of allies to push for strong federal climate policy at the scale of the challenges we face. As a national coordinator of Step It Up 2007, was where he got his start, and his career in the climate movement was jump-started by working in various projects at Middlebury College. And Jason will be talking tonight about the workings of the American political system, especially in Congress, and what's going on with the current climate bill that's making its way through the Senate. So first up, Dr. Ben Strauss.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Kaylee and Geraldine and all of the volunteers, everyone who's put the Climate Ride together. This is really a fantastic event, and I had a lot of fun riding with everyone today. I plan to be back next year, and it's a terrific crew. So thank you, this is a great thing. So today I'm going to talk about the challenge of communicating about climate change. And I'll start by asking, what is it really that's most hindering sound climate choices? Is it science, problems in technology, or problems in communication? Those are three possible areas, and you can probably guess where I'm going to come down, but I'm going to give you a full tour. We're going to start with science, move through technology, and head up in communication, coming from a science and communication group as I do. This, to me, is one image of climate science. The truth is, when you look very closely, the picture can be pretty blurry and confusing. So, for example, take climate models. Okay? There's a lot we don't understand about how to model the climate well. There's a lot we can't do. And there are a lot of elements we don't understand. So take, for example, clouds. Climate models today do not incorporate in any sophisticated way the formation of clouds. And that is an extremely important factor. During the daytime, clouds reflect sunlight back into space. They provide shade. They have a cooling effect. At night, they form an insulating blanket. We can expect more clouds as things warm up, but will more clouds mean more warming because of the blanket, more cooling because of the reflection, net zero? We don't really know. We don't know how to model clouds. Now, we do know how to model a lot of components of the global climate system, and now there are over 20 different climate models run on supercomputers by scientific groups around the world, projecting climate, and being tested against their ability to basically project historical climate. That is, you feed in conditions from the past, play the tape, and see whether the outcome bears any resemblance to the climate we've observed. Well, no single run from any climate model has come close to mimicking the actual progression of climate events in history. But if we step back a little bit further, realizing the importance of natural variation and average the results of lots of climate runs and compare those averages to the average climate we've experienced, actually, we've achieved quite a good match. So we don't expect climate models to know that there's going to be an El Nino next year and catch the year-to-year variation. But if you do a 5-year running average, you can get a pretty good match. So stepping back a little further, the picture is clearer. And really, when you put together the work we've done with climate models with all of the other fields of science that have been engaged in tracking the climate problem, the picture really is undeniably clear. Just to bring the point home a little bit more, here's a picture of Svante Arrhenius in 1896. 1896 he was a Swedish chemist. 1896 was a really bad year for him. He had a divorce, he became depressed, and he also had an idea that people were putting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide traps heat, and maybe this would warm up the world. And he actually thought that that would be a really nice thing, coming from Sweden. So perhaps to cheer himself up, perhaps just to distract himself, he sat down and spent several months making calculations by hand to estimate what the effect of doubling carbon dioxide would be on the globe's average temperature. He did it by hand, and it took him months and months. And his answer was the globe would warm up about 9 to 11 degrees. So fast forward, and the collection of our best climate models has come up with this much more nuanced and detailed picture. After all, they had supercomputers and lots of teams of scientists. But when you ask the question of how much it's supposed to warm when we double carbon dioxide, the answer is not so different. A little different, yes, but when you consider that we currently view 3.5 degrees as a kind of danger threshold, red line, or 2 degrees Celsius, well, the distinction almost doesn't matter. Arrhenius was 100 years ahead of his time, and he did it with paper and pencil. So with that as a fun illustration, I'd like to claim that, well, science is basically settled. What about technological solutions? Everybody wants to, well, we all have all kinds of silver bullets, but do we know enough? You certainly read that we need a lot of technological innovation to be able to solve the problem, given the growth in energy demand we project coming in the century. How close are we on the technology side? Let me start by just talking about wind resources. These 4 states in the wind belt, according to a DOE study, could generate enough electricity, the same amount of electricity as the whole nation consumes. Now, during World War II, the United States built about 300,000 airplanes in a few years. Harnessing that wind would require building about 150,000 wind turbines. There's a historical precedent for such a massive mobilization. It's entirely possible, if we exerted the will, to build an energy system and an infrastructure on a very short time scale that could replace the energy demand that's currently satisfied by coal and other fossil fuels. Now, of course, the wind doesn't blow anymore. People here are surely familiar with problems of intermittency and transport. Of course, we can build new transmission lines, but there's still the problem of